Ciao, this is Dr. Monica Bucci, and I'm so excited that you're here today because what I'm sharing today was an eye-opening lesson for me. Last week, we talked about stress and self-care, and we learned how listening to the signal of our body is a great act of self-love, but also something that we don't do enough. And no matter how clear those signals are, we keep going. Do you know why we do this? See, this keep going mentality is due to the fact that there are some behaviors and patterns that actually work as barriers to practicing self-care. These behaviors all speak to one universal truth, that we act as if we don't deserve self-love. I know this is hard to admit. What? I don't love myself? Well, let me tell you about these patterns and you'll see what I mean. The first pattern is an automatic concern for everything about others while ignoring our own needs. The second pattern is when we identify with our role and responsibility and we ignore who we are and how to honor our true nature. Both of these patterns play out when we are so focused to be perfect and good to everyone. The perfect woman, the perfect friend, the perfect wife, the number one employee, the tiger mom, that we ignore what our body is telling us. Do we need more sleep? To eat better? Do we need to take 5 minutes to refocus? And then there is the third pattern, the suppression or overexpression of anger. We either hold it too much or express it too much, and there are serious consequences for both. The suppression of anger is a major risk factor for toxic stress. Remember that lethal cocktail that runs through our veins when stress becomes chronic? This behavior literally suppresses the immune system, so we are at increased risk for infections, autoimmune disease, and even cancer. On the other hand, the overexpression of anger, when we are raging all the time, increases our risk of heart disease and stroke. Most of us don't know that there is a healthy expression of anger that is nothing other than the defense of our own boundaries. All of these patterns together tell us that the lack of healthy boundaries literally prevents us from practicing self-care. And even if it's difficult, admitting to yourself that you don't have strong self-boundaries, it's a necessary step to learn to take care of yourself. Because you need to strengthen your self-care muscles for when you will need them the most, when you are under stress. Unfortunately, most people, when they are stressed out, forget about self-care. We forget about our healthy diets, our exercise routine. We actually eat more junk food and we skip the gym. And then we have trouble sleeping and we start experiencing the symptoms of toxic stress, the joint pain, the depression, the fatigue. We become victims of stress. Instead of using stress as a tool to become aware of what our body needs and how to control our behaviors, we let stress control us. This happens to all of us. Do you know why? Because our brain is hardwired for survival and to avoid pain. Basically, when we are stressed out, it's really hard to control what drives our behavior because of how our brain has evolved to be. See, there are these two systems in our brain, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. The prefrontal cortex is the area of your brain that you want always on. This is the home of planning and control. This is the part of our brain where we live, where we are feeling really clear-headed and relaxed. This is the area that helps us solve problems and control our behaviors. So when we want to ignore the cookie that is sitting on the table, it takes a tremendous amount of prefrontal cortex activity to leave it there. Then there is the limbic system. This is our reward center, the home of our pleasure and emotions. This system is what drives most of our unintentional behaviors. Now, these two systems are extremely hardwired. So when we are stressed out, we become very emotional and we live in our limbic brain. And this brain is a killer because it literally blocks the prefrontal cortex. So when we are stressed out, we are doubling down on our inability to control our behaviors. On one side, because being emotional makes us live in our limbic brain. And the limbic brain blocks our prefrontal cortex, so we have no control on our behaviors, and we end up eating the cookie and skipping the gym. Remember when at the beginning I said that we act as if we don't deserve self-love? That is what I was talking about. To protect ourselves from toxic stress, we need to become aware of our response to stress. When I discovered this, I became obsessed with researching the most effective and scientific tools to regulate my stress response. I hope you will join me in my journey to learn all about them. This is Dr. Monica Bucci. Thank you for watching, and now I want to hear from you. What are your barriers to self-care?